talk about CJ and the Houston Texans. Right now, this team is not headed into the right direction. This is one of the most inconsistent teams in the AFC. And when you look at what they were able to do over the offseason, they brought in Joe Mixon. They brought in Stephon Diggs. They brought in Danielle Hunter. They brought in some powerful names to come in and help out CJ and to come in and help out this defense. For one, CJ has not been the most consistent quarterback this season. Last season, his rookie season, he was phenomenal all season long, even up to the very end against the Baltimore Ravens. But remember why they made those moves to bring in Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon and all those pieces. It's because they lost to teams like the Baltimore Ravens not once, but twice last year. They lost to them in the regular season. They lost to them in the playoffs. Why do I bring up the Baltimore Ravens? Exactly because the Baltimore Ravens at that time had the best defense in the NFL. They had a lockdown secondary. They had a great front seven. And now we're starting to see a lot of weaknesses that the Houston Texans had last year. They're magnified this year because CJ is not the same quarterback. He's indecisive inside the pocket, and he's basically twisting himself into sacks. Against the New York Jets, you would have sworn, hey, CJ has no time in the pocket. He's going out there, and as soon as he huts the ball, it's pressure in his face. Part of that is true. It's also this. He's creating negative plays, especially in the red zone. He's trying to run out of pressure. He's trying to live to see another play. But at the same time, CJ is going out there and he's pushing the kicker back. CJ is going out there and he's causing himself to be in 3rd and 15 and 3rd and 20 instead of being in 3rd and 10 by throwing the football away. And I understand when you're a quarterback, you don't want to just throw the football away. You don't want to give up on the play. CJ is taking a lot of hits this year. Part of it is because Bobby Slowick is a terrible offensive coordinator right now. Last season, he did a phenomenal job of going out there and finding ways to get guys open and scheming guys open and running a lot of quick game. They're not running quick game right now. And when they do run quick game, it's very predictable. And let's bring up some examples of CJ not being one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL this season with dealing with pressure. Against the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff had 5 interceptions. You easily go out there and win that game. Easily. With a quarterback like CJ, a running back, and Joe Mixon, wide receiver, and Tank Dell, you should easily put up 30 points and bleed clock. Jared Goff gave you 5 chances to go out there and put the game away, and you lost. And I understand the kicker missed a field goal late in the game. The Detroit Lions went out there, game-winning kick. You should have not been in that situation to begin with. Why would you put your kicker in that situation? CJ did not do enough to win in that game, and he had 2 costly interceptions. And I also look at Bobby Slowick. You can't call the same plays that you called in the first half in the second half. Your go-to plays on 3rd down, the slant across the middle and the post route deep down the field with Nico Collins, and we have the tight end going out, is very predictable. Everyone knows it at this point. You ran the same play against the Dallas Cowboys, and you got away with it. And when you just run Joe Mixon up the gut over and over again and you hope that he bounces it out to the outside, that's not going to work. That's not going to be sustainable because Joe Mixon has been a very good running back this season with the Texans, even though he did miss time early on because he hurt his ankle against the Chicago Bears. But when you look at Joe Mixon today against the Tennessee Titans, they stopped the run. He had 14 attempts for 22 yards. He averaged 1 yard, 1.6 yards a carry. 1.6 yards a carry. Now you're putting extra stress on CJ to go out there and save you. And you're doing this without Stephon Diggs. Part of the reason why they brought in Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs was to help level up the offense. This offense has regressed. You think with the talent that they had, even when Stephon Diggs was fully healthy with Nico Collins, because Nico Collins has missed some time dealing with a hamstring injury. Stephon Diggs has been out the last couple of weeks. He has a torn ACL. But even when you had Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, it was certain points of times you only gave Stephon Diggs 3 targets a game. And Nico Collins was going out there and he was looking like one of the best wide receivers in the game. And that's fine because that's how dominant he can be. But at the same time, work the other guys in. And their offense took a major hit as soon as Nico went down a hamstring injury. Part of it is because he is that impactful with the Houston Texans. The other part is this. The NFL has caught up to CJ, Bobby Slowick, and the entire Houston Texans offense. CJ has not been good in certain games this year, and it is really okay to admit that because when you look at the Houston Texans situation, it's easy to blame Bobby Slowick. It's easy to blame the offensive line. He's holding on to that football for very too long. And I understand at certain points in times where wide receivers are not getting open and he's trying to make a crazy play. What is coming with that is a lot of turnovers and a lot of lost yards. You cannot constantly put your team in that situation on a consistent basis. And CJ is better than this because we saw this his rookie year. But this has been a regular thing for young quarterbacks in the NFL. This is not the end of the world if you are a Texans fan, because you can fix this. And they can fix this in the NFL playoffs. Right now, CJ is just in a sophomore slump. We've seen this with other quarterbacks in the NFL before. They go out there, have a crazy rookie season. Defensive coordinators catch up to them. They watch more film. They take away their first read. They take away their second read, and they confuse them with different looks. That is what's going on with CJ. Unfortunately, Bobby Sloyd does not have the wherewithal, and he does not have the veteranship like other offensive coordinators in the NFL to go out there and help out CJ. Other young quarterbacks, they may have an offensive coordinator that has called plays for numerous teams, or they have been in the NFL for 5 to 10 years. Bobby Sloyd is a former pass game coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers. Last year was his first year calling plays in the NFL. He was so good, he was getting head coaching interviews at a point in time during the playoff run. And their playoff run did end abruptly to the Baltimore Ravens, but that was a given because of what happened in the regular season. And he got outcoached by Coach McDonald. I just look at this situation with Bobby Sloyd. You've been outcoached by Brian Flores, and this is when I realized the Houston Texans really had problems. In that game against the Minnesota Vikings, CJ threw 2 interceptions. They lost that game 34-7. A lot of it you can blame on the players, but this is when I realized that Bobby Sloyd was not a good offensive coordinator for this team at the current moment. They constantly blitz CJ, but you're calling routes deep down the field, and you're not adding protection up front. And you're not having your tight end chip block on his side, then get out of his break. Either the tight end is full on blocking or he's just running his route. That's it. I've seen the Cincinnati Bengals go out there and have their tight end chip block, have the running back help chip out the backfield. Little things like that the Houston Texans don't do. And you can say, hey, he's a young offensive coordinator. At the end of the day, he's an NFL coach. These are things that you're supposed to know. And CJ, he's going out there, he's trying to slide the line of scrimmage one way. He's trying to go out there and cover himself from the blitz. But when you go against a defensive coordinator like Brian Flores, I've seen that man go out there and give Lamar Jackson straight on hell. It is hard to do when your coach doesn't have a counter for it. So other teams have now went out there and they realized, hey, let's give CJ a different look at the line of scrimmage and let's see if he can go out there, if he can figure things out. And I don't want to hear about the cognitive test because he scored so low on it at the combine season. That has nothing to do with this. A lot of this is due to coaching and to just him helping out his quarterback. Run more screens to get the football out of CJ's hand. Look at what Thomas Brown is now doing with Caleb Williams. Look at what Dave Canales is now doing with Bryce Young. Get the football out quicker. Have a design read. Instead of having Nico Collins go deep down the field on a consistent basis, instead of depending on the speed with Tank Dell. And I also bring this up. He is part of the reason why Tank Dell's season was ended last year with a leg injury. The man ran QB sneak against the Denver Broncos. Tank Dell breaks his leg. You may say, hey, how is that on Bobby Sloyd? It's personnel decisions. Why are you having a light wide receiver who is only 165 pounds go down there with offensive linemen that are 300 plus pounds? And the same with defensive linemen. And he's trying to help CJ go out there and get a push up front. Little things like that hold a franchise back. And right now, Bobby Sloyd is not helping them out. And they don't have a bye week coming up to where they can go out there and say, man, you know what? Let's relieve him of his play calling duties and let's go somewhere else. Because even if you do that, you're still dealing with his playbook. You're dealing with Bobby Sloyd's ideology with this offense. And right now it is broken. And they have been completely exposed. They got exposed by the New York Jets. Another game to where the kicker missed field goals in that matchup. And they lost that game 21-13. I'm also noticing another theme here against the Lions, against the Tennessee Titans today, and against the New York Jets. The kicker has missed crucial field goals. But he would have not been in that situation if offense was to go out there and take care of business. Not to just let him completely off the hook, but it's just for context there. And their offense is dealing with a lot of dumb penalties, especially on the offensive line. The wide receivers make little to no mistakes in terms of just offensive pass interference. But the offensive line, you're holding for what? You're still not helping block. You're still not helping CJ out. Even when they're holding, pressure is getting into his face. So this is a team that has a quarterback that is struggling right now with making line of scrimmage adjustments. He's struggling against the blitz. He's struggling with pressure, and he's struggling to get the football out of his hand quicker. We have an offense that also has a major offensive line problem, and their offensive coordinator cannot figure out how to overcome all of this adversity. This is why I do not believe that they will make a deep playoff push this year. Is it a chance that they can? Sure. But look at what happened last year. And they're basically dealing with the same team, with the exception of Joe Mixon in the backfield. They can beat up on teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Dallas Cowboys. And that first Jacksonville Jaguars game, by the way, was very close. They went out there and they won that game 24-20. They beat the Buffalo Bills 23-20. But that game shouldn't have not been that close. They were up big in that matchup. But yet they let Josh Allen come back in and the offense went stale. These are little things that you look at and say, hey, if this happens in the NFL playoffs, you may be in trouble. Also, look at what happened in the Green Bay Packers game. CJ was 10-21 for only 86 passing yards, and they went very conservative. Once again, he went against another defensive coordinator that blitzed him for the majority of the game, and he had little to no answers for it. He is being outcoached. It seems like every single week, but certain times CJ will go out there and he will save them on some plays. But you can't go out there every single week and say, hey, CJ, go out there and save us. Because that doesn't even work out for the Kansas City Chiefs and even for the Baltimore Ravens. You think that if they just completely just said, hey, Lamar Jackson, save us every single game. Patrick Mahomes, save us every single game. You're going to be in trouble. And this defense, they have been disappointing through certain games here and there. But at the same time, they haven't been 100% healthy. And guys have missed games due to suspensions. I think Danielle Hunter has been a phenomenal signing. Will Anderson is very good in his own right. Derek Stingley Jr. is still one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Kamari, I like him a lot at the cornerback position. Jalen Petrie is flying across the board. Their defense is very good. And I like Kalen Bullock as well at the safety position. Their defense could be better, but their defense went out there and had 5 interceptions. Give me a break if you're trying to blame the defense for why they lost that matchup. The defense did everything that they could. And even when the kicker missed a kick, they were in short yardage situations. And they still made the Detroit Lions have to make their kicker take a long field goal attempt in that situation. I just look at the Houston Texans right now. Bobby Slowick is holding them back, and CJ has to play better moving forward, especially against teams that have a better front. But we haven't seen him be able to go out there and deal with pressure like some of the other top quarterbacks in the NFL. This is still a quarterback that's in year number 2. Give him time. I still like the Houston Texans. I still believe that they will win this division. They have a strong chokehold on this division. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about CJ and the entire situation with the Houston Texans? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.